Farah Hanoun for MMA Junkie, and I'm joined by former UFC middleweight champion Robert Whittaker. Rob, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. How's quarantine life treating you? Would you say it's as bad as The Ultimate Fighter, or is The Ultimate Fighter worse?
Ultimate Fighter is way worse, way worse. Um, Honestly, apart from the gyms being closed and having no consistency with the training, I guess I feel like I was made for quarantine life, to be honest.
Yeah, and I've seen you've got some mattresses at your house, right? Like from the gym and stuff like that. Like you've got something set up for yourself.
Yes, I've got some mats. I'm very fortunate to be in a position where I've got some mats, I've got some weights, and I have all the resources here to continue training.
Nice, nice. And you recently opened up about being burnt out and stuff like that, and it was great because a lot of people could relate to that. I could relate to that, and I don't get punched in the face or anything. So, did you feel like it was a weight off of your shoulders once you let the world know how you were feeling, especially that there were those rumors about your family? Did it feel like a weight off your shoulder that you kind of cleared the air?
To be honest, it never really affected me because it's not like I had a crushing burden about being burnt out. I don't feel like being burnt out is that big of a deal. Everyone gets it. It's just I feel that in the sport that I'm in, especially MMA and fighting, they don't recognize it for what it is. They refuse to believe it. They refuse to act on it because we don't have a lot of options. So I was very fortunate in the fact that I come to terms with it, and I realized, there's been so many changes over the last few years. I just need to step back for a little bit. I just need to have some holiday leave.
And it's weird because we're in this quarantine time that's kind of forcing us to adjust our lives and kind of not really take a break because like now you got a fight book. No, not people are trying not to take a break and everything, but it's kind of forcing us to tone things down. So are you kind of seeing the positives of this? Getting to spend some more time with your family and stuff.
The funny thing is like I had my break and I had my time out, and then I came back all G'd up and ready to get back into action, and then the world said, "Nah, dude, you're gonna have a longer break." And I was like, "I've had enough."
Yeah, and when you like decided that you wanted to come back, was it like an itch to train? Was it were you watching a fight? Like what made you kind of want to get back to it and get a fight booked?
It was a combination of the whole thing. Once I decided I needed to have a break and I went on leave, uh, I really focused on every individual aspect of my life of like what I wanted to do, what brought me happiness. Am I happy? Like everything. I just had to, because if I'm going to the extent of having a break, I should treat it with the respect it deserves. I stopped working, so I was gonna focus on that. So when I, when I, when I felt burnt out, I didn't feel like training. I didn't feel like fighting. I didn't feel like working. Period. Working anything, any work. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to just couch potato, if you would. so when when I was on my break and I was just spending a lot of time with the family, I was just feeling really good. I was just doing things that I wanted to do. I was playing a lot of video games, reading books, just pottering around the backyard. I was just doing me. And then that itch, that hunger to grind, to get back into training, to work on my combat, to work to fight again, to get back in that limelight, that all started coming back. That all started coming back. That fire got lit, and it started burning brighter and brighter, and till it reached a point that I was realized I haven't lost the fire and the will to train and fight. I was just burnt out.
And a couple of people have spoken out, like Daniel Cormier, Luke Rockhold, kind of like praising you for speaking out and stuff. Israel Adesanya as well. I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, and before I could even bring it up, I was asking him to kind of break down your fight with Darren Till, and he brought it up himself. He was kind of saying that he was happy that you realized at that moment there were more important things than fighting. Did you hear that? Did you hear him say that?
I didn't. I didn't. I live under a rock.
Okay, so I just want to say, like, what was your reaction to him saying that now
I'm
that you're
sorry. Here's my reaction.
fair enough?
Yeah, I'm like, thanks. I'm touched by the comments. It's yeah. I'm always happy when people just aren't, teasing me.
Fair enough. And you've got that fight with Darren Till, and I know you really wanted to head over to Europe. It looks like Dublin's not going to happen. What's the latest? Have the UFC been communicating with you on the possibility? I mean, is the fight with Darren Till still on?
It's hard to say. It hasn't. I haven't received word that it's not on, so I'm preparing. I'm preparing for it still. I have to be. It's better to be prepared and be cancelled than the other way around. So it's hard to say whether it'll be in Dublin. It'll probably be moved just because the the lockdown and everything like that and the flying. But I'm at this point, I'm still preparing and I'm still training for it.
Would you be willing to step in there before August? Because it looks like they're throwing a lot of things together, especially now we're hearing Fight Island, maybe Vegas, but you're in Australia, he's in the UK. So it looks like Fight Island will probably be the front runner, but would you be willing to fight before August?
If I had to, but personally, like if I had a choice, I'd probably leave it to August with all the training interruptions and everything like that. If you want to get the best out of us, it'd be better to give us some time. Hopefully the world picks up and gets back to normal a little bit, so we can hit the gyms up and get a good performance out there.
And what's the latest in Australia? Do you know when you'll be able to get access to your gym, or is there no word yet?
Things are certainly looking up. So I think at the moment, like the numbers are still dropping. So they're slowly reducing the restrictions on all the gyms and training. We still can't enter the gyms yet, but it really does look positive from here.
And what are your thoughts on Fight Island? Since I believe, as things currently stand, it's probably the front runner for your fight with Darren. What do you think of the idea of competing on Fight Island?
Yeah, I think it's great. If it's a nice island, I'll take my whole family there and stay there until this whole thing blows over.
That wouldn't be a bad idea. And your matchup with Till, like, how do you guys have been going back and forth, a lot of nice banter. This is new, right? Like, I don't think you've had that with an opponent before.
No, it's just like I find him funny. I think a lot of his posts are funny. He seems like my sort of cat. He's the sort of guy that I can tell that like we're gonna punch on and be friends afterwards, But certainly looking forward to the fight. And just because we fight for them doesn't mean we have to hate each other. Like I've never understood that. I understand fighting is very it's obviously very serious and there's a lot into it, and I treat it as such. But I've never hated any of my opponents. It just is what it is. This is our job.
And how do you see the matchup with Till playing out? What did you think of his middleweight debut against Kelvin? Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did. I think it was a very smart fight. I thought he fought to a perfect game plan. Because Gastelum is very dangerous. Obviously I was preparing for him that first time, so I understand, and I've seen a lot of tape. Like he's a dangerous guy, and Till worked him out and put on a really good performance in my opinion. I think Till's very dangerous. Very very dangerous. His range and distance finding is uncanny. So I'm gonna have to take the fight with a lot of respect. I have to give him respect and take the fight like any other. Train hard and get in there and just see what happens.
And how are you approaching things like when you're getting back in the swing of things? I mean, Darren Till is looked as one of the guys that could be next in line. So your fight with him could very well be a number one contender fight, which would spring you right back to the title. I mean, of course, depending on what happens with Costa and Adesanya. Are you kind of ready for that? Like, not ready in terms of preparation and all that, but like getting back into it. Are you looking at it fight by fight, or are you thinking about regaining that title again?
My current goals at the moment is just to enjoy life and win the next fight. Everything else will happen. I don't need to plan. This is how I got to the title the first time, and this is just how I live. Just be happy and win the next fight. There's no need to plan anything else.
Fair enough, and I'll leave you with one last question. I appreciate your time. How do you see the fight between Adesanya and Costa playing out?
It's a tricky fight because Costa's such a wild card. He's so strong, so powerful, and but Adesanya is a very smart fighter, man. Like, although like the Adesanya Romero fight wasn't fireworks or anything like that. He fought very smart. He did what he needed to do to get the win, and he definitely has the tool set to do that against Costa. The biggest thing that I can see is that just Costa's such a wild card. It's very hard to expect what he's going to do or how much violence or intensity he's going to bring into the octagon.
And as part of you want Adesanya to win, like when you get back to the title picture, do you want it to be Adesanya to avenge that loss, or does it matter to you?
We're both roughly the same age, so our paths will cross regardless. Somewhere in time, our paths will cross again.
All right, Rob. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time. Glad you're back. Looking forward to the fight, Darren Till, Fight Island, or wherever it may be. Just looking forward to your return.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much for having me.